opening up the UFC Vegas 94 main card, we have Cody Durden taking on Bruno Silva in a flyweight banger. Cody Durden, 16-5 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that submission loss to Tagir Ulanbekov. He's taking on Bruno Silva. This is the little Bruno Silva, not the big one that got double eye poked by Chris Weidman. This is the little baby one. He's 13-5 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that submission win over Tyson Nam. Cody Durden, just a nonstop forward pressure wrestler. That's who this guy is. He's just going to come forward. He's going to dive at legs. He's going to wrestle. He's got a grill. He's got some swag. He does all the things. He is going to throw big looping power shots to set up those takedowns, and he'll just chain wrestle, continuously dive at legs until it gets to the ground. While his wrestling can be nonstop and he's got good pressure, he is loose on top. You can stand up on him, which is why he averages as many takedowns as he does, and he's just got to go right back to the well, shoot another takedown, and keep it going. He is coming off that loss, though, to Tagir Ulanbekov, where he was out-wrestled, dropped, and submitted. He's taking on Bruno Silva. This guy's very well-rounded. He's got great power, his own strong wrestling, and nasty submissions. He's literally good everywhere. He started his UFC career with a bit of a skid, but he managed to string together 2 knockout wins, then go on a 2-year layoff, and then he just came back. Fought Tyson Nam. Everybody was all over Tyson Nam in that fight. He submitted that dude and got that done. We're a few years removed from it. But the way that Bruno Silva lost to Tagir Ulanbekov is probably the way he loses this fight. He was just sort of out-wrestled. If you trust Cody to do anything, you can trust him to move forward and shoot a bazillion takedowns. The only reason it's not boring is because he's small and fast and doesn't stop. If this was a higher weight, he's basically Bilal. Everybody calls Bilal boring. Non-stop wrestling. That's basically how Cody fights. The only reason I'm not...
disrespectful.
It's not a disrespectful. Bilal just got a title shot.
I know, but I think Cody's a little bit more advantageous.
It's because he's little and he's fast and he stays busy. That's why people don't label him as boring.
Well, he does more on the feet. Bilal doesn't really do a lot on the feet.
He finished Sean Brady. Didn't attempt a single takedown. He just beat Gilbert Burns.
I know. When he's my lock of the week next week,
so now
it's
you're
going to
just
be
saying
when
dumb
he's my lock of the week next week. It's going to be a 6-minute video of him just TKOing Sean Brady over and over for the highlight tape because Bilal's going to dominate anyway.
Either way, back to this fight with Cody Durden. The only reason I'm not all in on him here, because these are phenomenal odds at -118, and I do think he wins. The only reason I'm not all in is he can get wobble, and Bruno Silva hits hard as shit. Cody Durden was just rocked in his last fight. Bruno Silva might be the hardest hitting guy at this weight class or close to it if he isn't. So I'm gonna have to. I'm very cautious here. I do think Cody Durden has success. I do think he gets the takedowns, but that doesn't mean he's not going to get cracked at some point. Cody's the pick, but Bruno's power does worry me a little bit. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, let me preface this whole thing by saying me and Cody have had our ups and downs, right? There was a situation, I think a year and a half ago, something like that. I can't remember who he was fighting, where I picked against him. And we put it on Twitter, as we always do. We tagged the fighters, and he simply responded, "Jacob, I am going to prove you wrong." And guess what? He fucking did. He proved me absolutely wrong, and he turned my mind around about the type of fighter that he is, all the way to where he was my lock of the week against Tagir, because I thought that he could make that fight nasty and turn that fight into a Cody Durden fight and win that fight. And honestly, he got fucking screwed in that fight because Tagir was on his back. Get your toes out the fence. Get your toes out the fence. Get your toes out the... Holding himself up and holding in that body triangle basically to Cody, who was defending all these submissions. He had his toes hooked and the ref just screaming, get your toes out the fence. So I think Cody got a little bit fucked in that matchup. This one, it's going to be... I believe that one of these fighters is going to look like a -300. They should have been a -300 favorite. And honestly, I don't know who that is. If Cody can get the wrestling going, he's going to dominate this fight. If Bruno Silva can find that shot as Cody is entering to get to those takedowns or to throw that big right hand that he loves to throw, Bruno can knock this guy out and win this fight. I don't know how this fight's going to play out. But when I break down the fight, I just see it's hard to ignore the hand speed, especially in the pocket of Bruno Silva. And I believe there's going to be a moment in this fight where Cody's going to get clipped. And it's going to be, is he going to get clipped and get finished? or is he going to get clipped, work through it like Cody can, and get the takedown through it and be able to get, but there's going to be that one moment. I feel with Bruno's power and his speed that he is going to clip Cody, and in that moment, the fight's either going to be won or lost, and if Cody can work through that, which he's shown in the past, I think he can grind out that win, but I think there's just going to be that one moment that Bruno's going to get, and I'm going to go with Bruno on this one, unfortunately. So it's you know, not
it's a great
play.
fight.
Yeah, no, this probably could be the fight of the night. I mean, there could be, like I said, this could be a Bruno or Cody is clipped, but he's scrambling for a takedown. He works through it. It's a big moment, you know. Honestly, I'll probably be rooting for Cody, but you know, Bruno's fast, man.
No, this is a great fight. I said this in my recap video for UFC Denver when I was talking about Drew Dober. Drew Dober lost, and basically nobody leaves this sport undefeated. But the people who show up and put on a show and like are fun to watch and exciting,
Thank you, Dan.
Turn into legends. And those people build a fan base. Those people get people to rally behind him. Cody is one of those guys because he has 5 losses.
That Hadley fight was insane. That arm bar that he's just like, you see his face just just works through it and then ends the fight like just beating it, like cheering to the crowd, beating his face and turns around, flips him off. I fucking loved it.
Exactly. And like he may not win this fight. Bruno may not win this fight, but both these guys are going to go out there, entertain all of us. Everybody that's been complaining this year that UFC sucks, the UFC product is trash this year, we keep getting women's main events. But look down the card a little bit because this is a spectacular fight. And fights like this is what makes these like mediocre on-paper fight cards a ton of fun to watch. This should be really fun to watch. Jacob and I are split here, but this is the spectrum we talked about. Like, if we're right down the middle, Jacob's barely on the Bruno side. I'm barely on the Cody Durden side. We're not that far apart on this pick. This should be a ton of fun. I do wish, like, if Cody didn't get dropped in his last fight, if Tagir just out-wrestled him and submitted him, I'd have a money line bet on Cody. Minus 118 is phenomenal for a guy that wrestles like that and will just come forward and pressure. But he's been dropped a handful of times, not just last fight,
he's
multiple
a fucking
fights.
Dog, though. Yeah, he's a
and Bruno's got power, so it's like shit.
But don't underestimate Cody's hands either.
I'm not. I picked him to win. You didn't.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about like in general. No, I'm just talking about the general.
Either way,
because I think people are like Cody better get the takedown. It's like no, he can strike as well.
Sure, I wouldn't, but he can. $8,300 in DraftKings for Cody Durden. Whoever wins is worth their price tag. If whatever side you're on here, have one of those guys in your lineup. Whoever wins is going to worth that price tag. If Cody wins, it's definitely 2.5, the over 2.5, and he's going to get a whole bunch of points with takedowns. If Cody loses, that could be Bruno Silva putting up big numbers and getting this fight done. Either way, you can unlock the picks, the bets, the round line leans, and more. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. George Williams, another 10 spot. I'm sorry. Do Hoo Choi was the lock. Jacob took my lock. My name is Damon or Damond. Do Hoo Choi is my lock by KO. Jackie, after she wins, call yourself God named you that. I love you, Ange. I'm sold. I don't know. This is an unhinged super chat, and I'll take it.
Appreciate that, George.
The punctuation would be very appreciated in these, but we appreciate you. Thank you very much, George.
I'll be honest. I'm like looking at it. It's like
it's so hard to follow that, but we appreciate you very much. Thank you for the $10 super chat.